What's up, comic book fans? Garrick here with another installment of How Bad Was It? The series where we take a look at something that is widely considered to be bad and determine whether it is actually bad or not. Today's episode, How Bad Was The Dark Knight Rises? Now, I know what you're probably thinking here. A, that I'm an idiot because, of course, The Dark Knight Rises is not a bad movie, or B, that I'm an idiot and of course The Dark Knight Rises is a bad movie. Either way, I'm an idiot. But the reason I chose The Dark Knight Rises for this series is because since the original release, there has pretty much been a non-stop debate among fans about whether the movie was actually good, and despite the fact that it is widely liked and appreciated by critics, so many people that I've talked to hate this movie. So the year was 2012, and it may have been the most exciting year for comic book movie fans ever. Not only were we getting the finale of the epic Dark Knight trilogy, but something nobody ever thought could happen, let alone succeed, was coming to theaters as well. The Avengers. And on top of all of this, one of the most popular characters of all time, Spider-Man, was getting a highly anticipated reboot after the epic failure that was Spider-Man 3. So the hopes were insanely high, not only for The Dark Knight Rises, but the entire summer. And when this movie came out, I went to a marathon at my local theater that started with the first two films of the trilogy and finished with The Dark Knight Rises at midnight. So I was totally prepared. I could not have been more ready and more excited to see this movie. The movie roared out of the gates with its opening scene. Much like the bank robbery in The Dark Knight, The Dark Knight Rises introduces us to our main villain doing what they do best. And man, did Tom Hardy and Christopher Nolan deliver in the very first scene. And in my opinion, the movie didn't really relent or let go from there. But that's where my opinion differs from many naysayers. Most people who did not enjoy the film criticize it for pacing issues and the lack of action, as well as the lack of Batman in general. I disagree with all of these sentiments. This movie is a roller coaster, and not in the sense that it's got highs and it's got lows, but in the sense that the so-called lulls in the film are actually just building toward the exciting drop that you get in any good coaster. You can't appreciate the exhilarating drops if the whole coaster just goes straight down the entire time. You need the slow, lurching and pulling of the chain to the top of the peak before the exciting descent. Without the buildup and anticipation, you lose a lot. And that's what I see in this film. After the first scene, things do slow down. Batman is retired, Bruce Wayne is a recluse who gets outwitted by Selina Kyle, but this piques his interest and he begins investigating. Meanwhile, Bane is scheming and setting up his master plan, which eventually forces Bruce to don the mantle once again. Here we have another exciting section, another exciting descent that pits our hero against the villain more than once, and Bane ends up ultimately crippling Batman. And we get to probably the biggest complaint from most people who dislike the film. Bruce is stuck in a pit recovering for too long. That's what a lot of people say, and the movie loses all the momentum that it just built. But again, this is one of the most important and one of my favorite parts of the film. Bruce is forced to watch in agony as his city tears itself apart, and we start again to build up and build up towards an exciting drop. Bruce tries and tries again to escape, and when he finally does, it's epic, and you're on the edge of your seat and you're cheering for Bruce. He confronts Bane with a newfound strength, and you're rooting for Batman as he pushes and pushes and pushes and battles against the strongest enemy he's ever faced. And just as you think he's won, the movie takes a turn that honestly I didn't see coming, and Batman is forced into another precarious situation. The whole movie flows together as intended. It goes together as it was written, and it was written well, and the movie is exhilarating, but it isn't all perfect. The ending is where my problems start to rear their ugly heads. The first biggest issue I have is Batman saving Gotham, and Batman saving Gotham is what we expected, and that's what we wanted to see, but it's not just Batman saving Gotham. It's the way he saved Gotham and being allowed to win and survive by fixing the autopilot. It felt cheap and took away from the weight of the film. The trilogy would have ended and should have ended with him dying to save Gotham, and that would have made a much bigger impact, and I think it would have had a lot of people look at the entire trilogy a little bit differently. My second biggest problem is the character of John Blake, but it's not just the character. I think the character is actually pretty good, but the issue I have is his first name is actually Robin. I let out an audible groan the first time I saw the movie when this scene happened, and to this day I can't really get over it. The Dark Knight trilogy is supposed to be a look at how Batman would fit into the real world, how Batman would fit into our world. It's not a comic book fantasy like the Avengers or Batman v Superman is. And I understand that maybe having Robin come from a family of trapeze artists isn't the most realistic origin story ever, and I like that John Blake was a police officer and that he ends up taking the mantle of Batman and playing the Robin role in a realistic way that fit into this trilogy. But come on, why couldn't you just name him after one of the 3 original Robins if you want to go that route? Richard, Tim, and Jason are all perfectly good names. And while the Robin fiasco might be a little bit nitpicky for a scene that was just 10 seconds long, the other problem I have with the John Blake character is much more important. Having no idea at all that Bruce Wayne is Batman, John, and only John, deduces that he's Batman because of the way his face looks. I mean, come on. There are plenty of two-faced people in Gotham, no pun intended, and nobody else came to this realization that Bruce Wayne doesn't look happy when he's supposed to be happy. I mean, his parents died. He still really hasn't gotten over it. But no, John Blake knows that he's Batman. That really felt like lazy writing to me. They could have done that in a much better way. I mean, he is a police detective. He could have done some detective work instead of just being like, you're Batman. Just trust me, I know. And Bruce Wayne doesn't even deny it. He's like, you got me. My face does look kind of, like Batman. So, all in all, how bad is The Dark Knight Rises? It's good. Come on. It's really good. Is it as good as The Dark Knight? No, but what comic book film is? There are very few that even come close, but The Dark Knight Rises is close in my opinion. It was a near perfect ending that didn't quite stick the landing to an epic trilogy, and I watch it every time it's on TV, at least for just a little while. If we had as many comic book films that took the risks that The Dark Knight Rises did, we wouldn't be feeling some of the Marvel fatigue that we're starting to feel nowadays. And if we had as many comic book films that cared about story and characters over just making money like The Dark Knight Rises did, we wouldn't have soulless cash grabs like Batman v Superman and Suicide Squad. So, I guess in summary, make comic book movies Dark Knight Rises again. So those were my thoughts on The Dark Knight Rises. Was it perfect? No, but it was well casted, extremely well acted, extremely well directed, and it was pretty well written. I like the movie a lot. Let me know if I'm an idiot. If I'm wrong, let me know down in the comments. If I'm right, support me. Let me know down in the comments. Thanks for watching, everybody. Remember the motto, it's comics over everything, and I'll see you guys next time.